The Tiger Rising by Kate DiCamillo. Chapter 26. He left Willie Mae at the motel and went down the highway. "Sistine!" he shouted as he ran. "Sistine!" he screamed. And miraculously, he saw her orange dress with the pink polka dots glowing on the horizon. Sistine Bailey. "Hey!" he shouted. "Sistine! I got something to tell you." "I'm not talking to you," she shouted back. But she stopped. She turned around. She put her hands on her hips. He ran faster. "I come to tell you about the tiger," he said when he caught up with her. "What about him?" "I'm fixing to let him go," said Rob. Sistine squinted her eyes at him. "You won't do it," she said. "Yes, I will," he told her. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the keys and held them in front of her proudly, as if he had just conjured them out of thin air, as if they had never existed before. "I'm going to do it," he said. "I'm going to do it for you." "Hoo-wee!" somebody screamed, and Rob turned and saw Beauchamp come speeding right toward them in his red Jeep. "Oh no," whispered Rob. "Is it him?" Sistine whispered. Rob nodded. Beauchamp pulled over to the side of the road, spraying mud and water everywhere. "You aren't getting your exercise," he hollered. Rob shrugged. "Speak up," roared Beauchamp. He got out of the Jeep and came toward them. Rob quickly pocketed the keys. His heart thumped once, loudly, as if it was cautioning him to keep quiet, and then it went back to beating normally. "Well, looky here," said Beauchamp when he saw Sistine. "You're not chasing girls? Is that it? Man after my own heart. Is this your girlfriend?" Beauchamp pounded Rob on the back. "No, sir," said Rob. He looked at Sistine. She was staring so hard at Beauchamp that Rob was afraid the man might burst into flames. "I got more goods for you," Beauchamp said. "I left them back at the motel with Ida Bell." "Yes, sir," said Rob. "What's your name, little thing?" Beauchamp said, turning to Sistine. Rob's heart gave another warning thump. Lord only knew what Sistine would say to Beauchamp. But Sistine, as always, surprised him. She smiled sweetly at Beauchamp. "Sissy," she said. "Well, that's pretty," said Beauchamp. "That's the kind of name worth running down the road after." He leaned over to Rob. "Remember what we got going. You're keeping your manly secrets, ain't you?" "Yes, sir," said Rob. Beauchamp winked. His toothpick wiggled. "I got me some business in town," he said. He squeezed Rob's shoulder hard and then took his hand away. "You and your girlfriend stay out of trouble now, you hear?" "Yes, sir," said Rob. Beauchamp swaggered back to the Jeep, and Rob and Sistine stood together and watched him get in it and roar down the highway. "He's afraid," said Sistine. "He's afraid of the tiger. That's why he's making you feed him." Rob nodded. That was another truth he had known without knowing it, the same as he had known that Sistine's father was not coming back. He must, he realized, know somewhere, deep inside him, more things than he had ever dreamed of. "I'm sorry," he said. "What I said about your daddy, I'm sorry." "I don't want to talk about my father," said Sistine. "Maybe he is coming to get you." "He's not coming to get me." Sistine tossed her head. "And I don't care. It doesn't matter. What matters is the tiger. Let's go. Let's go set him free." Time out again. Here was amazing in just a span of a couple minutes what we see as far as a couple changes. So, first, couple things that I noticed about Rob, that he is all of a sudden unusually like set in his ways right now. He's got his mind made up. Usually when you think of Rob, you think of this. That's right. Where Rob never seems to know what he's talking about, or never knows what he wants to do. And here he's got this really determined kind of thing where he says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for you. So for the first time, we see Rob really kind of making a decision and committed to something. Whether it's the right decision or not, we don't know. But at least we're seeing a giant change in the way that he acts. And again, we can start interpreting why all of a sudden is he changing like this. Now, and another thing that we notice is that, again, in the span of just one chapter, in just a couple minutes, she had just walked away, that Sistine herself also has come to certain realizations. Here, where obviously she now decides to agree with him. Remember last chapter, she said she hated him. And now she just says, he's not coming to get me, and I don't care. And she even tosses her head like this, as if she doesn't really care anymore. And she's got one thing on her mind now. One last thing that I want to point out is this, and this is kind of funny, that Sistine can in fact be kind of tricky, where she smiles sweetly at Beauchamp and she says, "Sissy," she said, "look at that." Right now, Sistine completely acting very un-Sistine-like because she's got a plan and she knows that she can't blow it by making Beauchamp think that she's this really like determined person that wants to set the tiger free. So she is doing something pretty sneaky there, and it's another good detail about how complicated Sistine is as a character. She's not just one way. She continues to surprise us as we go. Great things for you to write about.